Two guys of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
I mean, it was a great day to come back and win the way we did, and you know, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to build on it. I think it's fun to look down and see that Dalvin had 190 yards from scrimmage. Justin had 12 catches for 120. You know, Adam caught a touchdown, made the biggest play at the end there to get us in field goal range. So, you know, it's great to get so many guys involved and have so many people contribute. And, you know, just proud of the way we kept fighting and played. But there's also a lot of stuff I'm not proud of, you know, with the way we played.
That jacket.
Wife picked it out.
Incredible.
His wife said, "You're wearing it." And he's like, "I don't know." And she said, "No, we got to do it."
And did you guys see the
for her.
Kirk Cousins tweet last night?
No, I don't think I did.
He tweeted out at 7:40 p.m. last night when we were doing a live edition of Purple Daily. This is Pete Kirk Cousins' tweet. Can someone explain to me the differences between these three brands? LL Bean, Land's End, and Eddie Bauer.
Those are the exact three brands that you would think Kirk Cousins would.
wears. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's
Oh,
awesome.
man. So, wait. So, on that jacket, you're telling me it wasn't planned that he didn't have that jacket stored away for some big momentous game? Because it looked to me like, okay, they didn't like plan to have the greatest comeback in NFL history, but
Yep.
they were going to wait for some like fourth quarter comeback, some big win or a dagger or something, and then he's had that jacket in his locker for the last month. That his wife just like made him wear it on that day. That was so if they had lost that game 51-3,
Right.
he's walking up to the podium in that Vikings sport coat.
From Sunday Star Tribune, Jim Souhan's column.
Can you imagine?
Second paragraph, quote of Kirk, okay? So this is not Jim, this is Kirk. "My wife dresses me. She put it out last night, and I looked at her and said, I don't know. She nodded, said,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You've got to do it, so here we are." Now, if they had continued to get smoked by the Colts, I got to believe he aborts mission on the jacket.
He just
But-
goes up there in the dress shirt or like a Vikings
Or he's
hooded
got another
sweatshirt or
coat in
something.
his- I don't know. But anyway, he said she picked it out on Friday night.
I need to know. I need to know if that game ends the way that it started. Does he wear the jacket at the post game? Just a shameful post game press conference. Kirk, you guys got beat there 55-10 by the Colts. Still haven't clinched the division. How you feeling? He's just up there, a Viking sport coat with no shirt on underneath, just head sunken. Amazing. Well, this is a good segue, I think, into our Statements Monday on Mackey and Judd. Let's start with this one, boys. Don't F with noon Kirk Cousins. F around and find out. 460 yards passing. And I'm going to blend two statements into one here. We talked about this a little bit on the Sunday night Purple Daily episode. Don't F with noon Kirk Cousins on any day. I don't care if it's Saturday or Sunday. And don't F with the fourth quarter Pharaoh, the dagger doctor, the secondary slayer, Mr. Game-winning drive, Mr. fourth quarter comeback. According to StatHead, he is now one fourth quarter comeback away from the single season record set by Matthew Stafford in 2016. Stafford had 8 for that Lions team in 2016. Cousins now has 7, tied with 2016 Derek Carr and 2009 Peyton Manning. So if he can get one more and also have the greatest, largest comeback in the history of the NFL under his belt in one season,
Yep.
he will go down. I mean, even with just this right here, if he doesn't do anything the rest of the season, he's already going to be regarded because of his work this year late in games as one of the great fourth quarter comeback architects. He has to be. We talked about Frank Reich for 30 years because of one game, Bills versus Oilers. That's how Kirk, unless somebody else comes around with a 34-point comeback in the next 10 years, that's how Kirk will and should be remembered, I think, now.
I think that's incredibly fair. And look, what Kirk Cousins has done as far as fourth quarter comebacks in game-winning drives, really the last 2 years, but especially, obviously, this season, it's been absolutely off the charts. And like we talked about on our live edition of Purple Daily last night. I mean, Kirk Cousins on Saturday did what MVPs do. He took a situation that was hopeless. He wasn't playing well. He was playing terribly, and the team was as well. And he didn't come out and have a good second half. He had a ridiculous second half. I mean, the stats, the last two games, the stats have been incredible. Now you've got a loss and you've got a terrible half of football followed by a great one. But you know, it's my estimation that what I want from an MVP quarterback is a guy that can lift you, especially in moments when all hope appears gone. And Kirk Cousins did exactly that. So yeah, I think it's very fair to say that in a year that I think will be defined as the year of the Kirk comeback, the signature of that is now set in stone, and it's what he did on Saturday.
Yeah, he is. So I'm pulling up this. There's a website that you can check expected points added and some other analytical things. And right now, I think this is accurate. This is amazing. So in close fourth quarter games, of which part of that fourth quarter did not qualify. Part of that fourth quarter was still kind of garbage time until it wasn't. And then it became not garbage time, and then it became clutch time. But here are the NFL leaders among quarterbacks. Close fourth quarter overtime games, expected points added from a quarterback position. So this is an analytically driven metric here. I'll give you the top 7, starting from 7. Geno Smith, Lamar Jackson 6, Aaron Rodgers 5, actually. Matt Ryan has played well in some fourth quarters, has some fourth quarter comebacks this year. Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins number 2 behind Patrick Mahomes in terms of fourth quarter overtime close game performances this year.
Fair or not, when we look back, how is history going to remember the choke jobs in which Matt Ryan was now involved? Because the Super Bowl was already brutal. How is history going to paint him?
Well, that might be a good segue to Declan.
I have a statement. Yeah, I have exact. I wrote that. I wasn't going to use this. Wasn't going to be my fastball off the start, but I'll bring it up. My statement is Matt Ryan has 2 black eyes on his Hall of Fame resume. I mean, 2 massive black eyes on his resume. He won an MVP. He was a first-round pick. He was a very good quarterback for the Falcons. Very good quarterback. But he is responsible for now 2 of the worst comebacks of all time. He's on the other side of it. I understand he's not playing defense, but dude,
you score once in the second half. You could try that.
It's not hard. It's not that difficult. And for whatever reason, he now has 2 massive black eyes on his Hall of Fame resume. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
And he legitimately now, for 2 games, literally, maybe they win that Super Bowl and whatever it is, or even they lost that Super Bowl and they just got blown out, right? Let's say it was the opposite. Let's say the Patriots just ran them out the door, but he doesn't have that nasty comeback against him. He doesn't have this one against him. I can make a case, probably down the road, Matt Ryan has a case to be in Canton. Not a first ballot, but he has a case. These 2 black eyes, these nasty comebacks against him, I think it's going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame, man.
Yeah, I think he's there. It's hard to just look at statistics now because like almost every quarterback puts up absurd numbers now. So we have to have some standards when it comes to evaluating modern quarterbacks. There needs to be a special like Tony Romo, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan bin where, and quite frankly, Kirk Cousins, I think is emerging into this bin. And maybe he can, if he ever wins a Super Bowl, maybe he goes a bin higher. But there is like a Matt Ryan, Tony Romo, Phillip Rivers, probably another guy or 2 in there.
Stafford.
I think Stafford might be higher now because he has a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's huge.
I think it elevates him a little bit.
No.
But yeah, he's borderline Hall of Fame. If he puts together a few more good seasons, the Super Bowl is going to help him. Mm-hmm. But we have to have some standards. It can't just be like, you threw for a bunch of yards over 15 years. Okay, well, almost everyone did. But you're right. If he just closes out that 28-3 lead, isn't it amazing? He has now blown the biggest regular season and Super Bowl leads. Like, how is that? And it's, again, the defense blew it, but you could score more than 3 points in the second half and put the game to bed, and they were unable to.
And it's not even a full game. It's 2 halves individually. right? Like it's the second half of the Super Bowl. It's the second half of this Colts game. It's not like he was historically bad for both of the whole portions of the game. I could argue he wasn't great yesterday in the first half, just the one offensive touchdown. But it's two halves that are going to prevent him from being in Canton. 100%.
I don't know. If he had won the Super Bowl, I think that there's a case. I'm with Phil. I don't know that he is a Hall of Fame quarterback. But the problem is this: if you were to put him in Canton and do his plaque tomorrow, these two games would lead the plaque. Like Matt Ryan had a career in which his team blew a 28-3 Super Bowl lead. I think you would be a lot more if the Super Bowl didn't take place, if that blown lead, then I think we as fans would probably be a lot more likely to forget the fact that he was at QB for this game because, the defense collapsed. But that being said, when you have both of them, I mean, they bookend his career. They're the bookends to the man's career.
I watched that Super Bowl collapse alone in this Hubbard studio because I was running the board on Sunday Night Baseball that night. I was alone watching that Super Bowl collapse.
Cutting your teeth.
Baseball.
Cutting my teeth. Making sure that, not Sunday Night Baseball, would have been February. It was probably ESPN radio, actually. So it was definitely glorified.
So you had a
babysitting.
Sunday night shift babysitting an automated feed of ESPN radio while you watched that game.
Watch the greatest comeback or greatest collapse of all time. Yeah.
Wowza.
Amazing. All right, over to Judd.
He's now atop the list. He being Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Kevin O'Connell is now, in my opinion, had the most impressive first season of any Vikings coach in the history of the franchise. Now, it's a very short list of Vikings coaches who have come in and finished with a winning record in year one. That list is Jerry Burns, who went 9-7 in his first year after Bud went 7-9. I believe Bud came back in 85. Dennis Green was atop this list previously. He led the Vikings to a wild card round 11-5 finish in 92. But when you look at what O'Connell has done now, and you look at the fact that this team has now officially clinched the division, if I'm not mistaken, the Vikings did go in Green's first year as a wild card team as well, not just playing in that first round, because these Vikes will play in that round as well. But what O'Connell has done, 11 wins with 3 games left, division clinched, a remarkable job, and no question playing a key role in the turnaround of Kirk Cousins from statistical marvel to winner. If you look at what O'Connell has done, it's now my belief that Kevin O'Connell is atop the list. If I had to rank the first year of Vikings coaches, it would now go O'Connell, Green, and Burns.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think you're right. How do you? This is such a weird season to judge because, like, they've had so many meltdowns in the first half or third quarters that make you pull your hair out. But at the end of the games, like, he has these guys just charged up and constantly coming back from the grave. But there's so many leaky things defensively. They've had one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and offensively they disappear for like an hour of real time. I think it feels like overall he has drastically elevated. I guess if I could phrase it differently, it feels like the talent level of the team, that the output of wins is higher than the talent level of the team. It feels like they're overachieving based on who they have on their roster. Like they don't have a train wreck roster. They have a good roster, but it's going to be one of the 2 or 3 best records in the NFL when it's all said and done. And so even though there's been leaky defense and some other things here and there and like some mental lapses, overall he is elevating this thing more than Mike Zimmer did. Absolutely. And I don't think that he got the DC right. I think Ed, in retrospect, was a mistake, and O'Connell thought, well, he knows the guy to turn this thing around, and so it's going to work. But you know what? If we had all sat down and talked about one thing specifically, the day that O'Connell got the job, which is, and we did, what's he going to do with Kirk? What's he going to do with Jefferson? Like, he was brought here, and he made that clear from day one. I am an offensive first head coach. As far as Kirk goes, I don't think that you could ask for more. Like, he's taken a guy who I think in some ways mentally was broken, and he's fixed him. He has maximized
Jefferson, aside from like a few halves here and there, you couldn't ask for more. So everything that O'Connell, the reasons he was brought here, so some of the infrastructure still definitely has to be worked on and is not perfect. But the main reasons why he was hired to replace Zim, which is we want a guy that can associate with the quarterback, who can lift him, who can most importantly lift the offense to a 2022 place. And what he's got from Kirk, I think, is really impressive.
Yeah. Okay, next statement. The first half of that game was, from my recollection, the worst half of football I've ever seen the Vikings play. I started making a list of just all the things that went terribly wrong. And this is a partial list probably, but so they start the game with just a fart noise 3 and out and then a Dalvin fumble after a big run on the second drive, right?
Yep.
They had special teams disasters to start the game. You had the huge kick return by the Colts to midfield and then the blocked punt. And that all led to a 17-0 Colts lead after the first few drives. And then you get desperate. Okay, oh my God, we're down by 17. What are we going to do? It's 4th and 1 from our own 32. Let's try going for it. Fart noise. And then the next drive, okay, it's another 4th and 1 from like the same spot. Oh, we can't just line up and go for it because that didn't work last time. Let's try a fake punt. Let's have our punter throw the ball to our 5th-string rookie receiver.
Same play, too, that we've run before.
Yeah. Fart noise. And then Justin Jefferson got hurt on a drive in the second quarter. You thought his day might be done. Then the Kirk Cousins, really the Jalen Reagor pick 6. So, and there's more too, like some penalties and different things. But it was, and just when you thought, man, 17-0, how can this get any worse? It was like there's still 5 things that are going to go horribly wrong in the first half. So I don't even know how they were able to come out for the second half, let alone come all the way back and win that game, 39-36. But that is probably the worst half of football I've ever seen the Vikings play in my 30-plus years watching this team.
The incredible thing about that statement, too, is this. It wasn't because they had quit. They really played that bad. Like let's go back to some of the Zim first halves that were epically bad. 2016, same stadium, same team, Colts, right?
Mm-hmm.
They quit in that game. Like they were mad at Zimmer.
Peterson kind of forced his way back in, and then people weren't all into it. Yeah,
it was a gong show, but it was a gong show that was self-inflicted, I felt like. Let's go back to
the Falcons game from 2020.
The Falcons game. That team was a mess and Kirk was awful, and Kirk was flustered. The Bills for first half. In the game that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, back then the Vikings at home were 16.5-point favorites against Buffalo.
Yeah, that game had a little bit of an explanation in that they were dealing with behind the scenes an Everson Griffin mental health crisis that I think shook the whole team, and then they just weren't ready for the punch that they got. But yes,
and
that
was
weird.
And to your point, in this one, they come back, and I never felt like they had quit. I felt like the team was a mess.
Yeah.
But like I never looked at that team and said they have given up. I'm like, they're this horse bleep today.
Yeah. And it was amazing. Can we we'll get to some more statements here shortly, but I do want to get to a what are you doing guy presented by our friends over at Underdog. Show us your betting slips on a weekly basis. What do you got for us this time, Declan?
I got a decent amount. I have Keaton sent me a nice little betting slip that got a 3-item parlay over the weekend. I got a lot of DMs, a lot of ats in the old on the Twitter sphere. Even got some numerous slips that people won this week in Underdog Fantasy. You can join with Underdog Fantasy at promo code SCORE SKOR, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Some cross-sport entry too. I saw some slips of people winning some tickets on the Timberwolves game yesterday, even as well. So you can mix sports up. You can do football and NBA in the same pick'em slip. Go join Underdog Fantasy with promo code SCORE SKOR, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100.
Hey, our friends at St. Thomas are playing Division I basketball. Hockey football season ended with a conference championship in just their second year Division I. If you're looking for a fun little holiday event this week, a couple games to take note of. The St. Thomas men's basketball team battles North Dakota tonight on this Monday, and then NDSU on Wednesday. Division I hoops action for just $15. TommySports.com to get your tickets. That's TommySports.com to get your tickets. All of those games can be heard on 1500 ESPN Radio. And a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, helping to navigate the choppy waters of business and the smooth waters too. They're there for all weathers and all seasons of your business ownership. They've been partnering and guiding business since 1904, based in Owatonna, Minnesota. You can find them online, find a full list of industries that they protect, federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, it's time for another episode of What Are You Doing, Guy? And I had this one in my head. I think we already did this like a couple weeks ago, but it warrants doing it again. And it even magnified more in prime time last night watching the NFC East clash. But these officials, starting with the Vikings game, blowing plays dead before they need to. I think Chandon Sullivan was the victim twice. So didn't he recover the fumble in the second quarter?
Yeah, he's the guy both times.
That they ruled down. And then again in the fourth quarter, forward progress was stopped. Was it? How many times do you see guys fighting for yards and they wait till he's down or pushed back 5 or 10 yards? When they're hand fighting and he's not moving backwards, like, you don't blow that play dead right away. So stop blowing plays dead when you aren't 100% sure. And last night you saw it against you had the Giants and the Commanders, and it was a key, like, Commanders driving late in the game. Taylor Heineke is about to go down. Ball gets punched out. Giants pick it up, run it all the way back for a touchdown, but the officials come in adamantly blowing their whistles, waving their hands in the air like, no, he was down by contact. Well, they did overturn it and give the ball to the Giants, but they would have had a touchdown. They ran the ball back for a touchdown. So
Same thing.
These officials who continue to blow plays dead, not really knowing what they're seeing. What are you doing, guys? Come on.
This Trey Blake crew, though, should not work another game
Never.
this season.
Ever.
They went beyond that. Like, I'm with you, and if you're doing it to protect the players, this is professional football, okay? I understand we're concerned about concussions and plays being done, and I get that you're trying to protect players, but these guys are paid a lot to play this sport. This is not protecting kids. So let the play out, and hopefully no one gets hurt. But if they do, it's part of the job. Second of all, though, this Trey Blake crew this is one of the worst games I've ever seen officiated. Like, beyond that, the Sullivan calls were awful. The forward progress one I didn't like at all, but you could debate it. The second one was inexcusable. But I mean, they spotted the ball wrong on when Matt Ryan took a knee because they spotted the Ryan Wright punt at the 2. That ball was down at the 1. Like, that might seem small. It ain't small. He can't take a knee if that ball is at the 1 and spotted correctly. They miss calls on both teams. Like, I am not complaining about official guy because my team got screwed guy, but they screwed both teams. Mm-hmm. They couldn't do their job. This
that
crew
spot.
Should be
what was the deal with that spot? That was like he literally had the ball inside the 1 yard line. What did they think that he like took a step forward or something?
They were terrible. No, I think they just sucked at their jobs. Like that's the thing is it's easy to criticize officiating, and I've always defended these guys to the extent of the rule book is stupidly big. Like, they're asked to look for way too much. A human being can't. But that crew was what happens when you can't operate. That was like a high school crew, and that's an insult to high school officials.
Yeah, man.
Take them out of circulation. Just bench them.
What are you doing, guys? Come on.